Hi, Malaika.
Hi, Harleigh.
How are you?
Fine, thank you. Why are you not greeting me in Dominican Republic lingo?
AKA Spanish.
Yeah.
Hola.
Hola.
Hola, amigo. I
Oh,
haven't been here for a while.
I know. It's been great.
And now I'm ill. For anyone who has ears, can probably hear that I'm a little bit snuffly.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of standard practice for me when I come back from holiday. I don't know what it is about the sadness of coming home, or whether it's the. I think it's because I take.
sadness.
I think it's actually because I sleep on planes. I just feel like my mouth is open, absorbing germs.
The air and the.
Because 3 out of 4 of us from the flight are not feeling too great.
Oh gosh.
So, I got it the worst, but so.
Yeah.
I have been in the Dominican Republic, but we have some new countries joining us.
Do we have listeners in the Dominican Republic, sorry.
Yeah, we do. This week we have the Philippines.
Right. Kamusta?
Kamusta?
Yep,
Okay. And we also have Cambodia.
Susade. That is slang for
Oh.
hello. That, not the formal greeting.
Okay.
It's like an informal greeting.
Like if you really know the people.
Yeah, like wagwan, I guess.
Okay. Don't kill me. Thank you so much to everyone that is listening from absolutely any and everywhere. Cambodia is a little bit mind-blowing though.
Yeah.
Because who are you?
Kamusta?
And how did you find us? Who are you and how did you find us?
Oh, sorry, no, that's Filipino. Susade.
Around the world with Malaika Miles, taking a little bit of a left turn, but if you are listening to this podcast and you enjoy it, please do not forget to leave us a review. You can click where the stars are on our Spotify page on Sonder Salt, and on Apple you can scroll down to the bottom of the podcast play and leave a written review right there. 5 stars only.
Facts.
5 stars only. Amazing reviews. We have a couple new ones lately.
Yeah.
So.
And I think they're actually 5-star because our overall rating is pretty good.
They should be.
Yeah, the person that left the one that wasn't 5-star, you can actually go back and change it just in case.
It might have been an accident. You might have listened
just
to
in case.
an episode that you just didn't agree. Maybe you like corned beef. What is your food highlight of the week?
Right, so we've had a couple of weeks off, so I've been up to quite a bit. My food highlight for this week is 6 by Nico.
Yes.
I've been to 6 by Nico before. In my blogging days, I actually did a review about it. I cannot remember the menu that I experienced at the time, but it was really nice.
So what is 6 by Nico?
So 6 by Nico is a restaurant it's basically an experiential restaurant. They have a 6-course tasting menu and it's quite reasonably priced for a tasting menu. It's usually around £45 per person, and they do offer an additional wine pairing to go with it. But the USP about 6 by Nico is that their 6-course tasting menu changes every 6 weeks. So at the moment, they're currently doing a Lisbon and Marrakesh
that makes sense.
menu at their 2 locations. They've got one in Canary Wharf and they've got one in Fitzrovia.
Okay.
I went for one of the most popular menus, which is called the Chippy menu. It's basically a menu based on the Chippy.
I've heard that's the one.
Yeah.
And they did a New York one at some point, I think, as well.
Yes, they did a Tokyo one.
Yeah.
They've been all over the place.
Okay.
I think they even had one like a Madrid one. So yeah, I did the Chippy menu because it sounded really good. I wanted to definitely check it out. And overall, I enjoyed it. A couple of the dishes were not hitting. There was a pulled beef type dish.
Oh, pulled meat.
Yeah. Immediately,
Malaika doesn't like
Immediately,
pulled
no.
meat.
I knew I wasn't going to like it and it wasn't hitting personally. Didn't really like it. But overall, it's a nice menu. They had one dish in particular. It was a scampi dish. And it was like a scampi kind of croquette with some kind of green pea mashed puree thing. Really, really enjoyed that. Overall, it was nice. For a dessert, they had an iron brew sorbet as part of the dessert.
Interesting.
That was really nice, super refreshing. I really liked that, and it was a deep fried Mars bar.
Oh yeah.
Small, like almost donut hole looking ball.
Surprising. I'm surprised that Iron Brew and the deep fried Mars bar thing, because those are both Glaswegian. But then I guess chip shops as a whole, like if it's about the chippy.
I think it's just about the chippy in general across like the UK. They're
giving
trying to
best of
celebrate
British.
It is, yeah, it is. And they had like a seaweed butter That was really nice. So overall, I did enjoy it. I like 6 by Nico, but I always say to people the thing with 6 by Nico is the change in menu allows for innovation and spontaneity and all that kind of stuff and having different experiences. But my experience can differ vastly to another person's because one menu might not be hitting as much as another menu is hitting. And I will say the chippy menu didn't bang as much as the one I had the first time.
Okay.
So I like the experience. I always recommend it.
Yeah.
If you want to do the
I need to try it.
The 6-course tasting course thing for a reasonable price. I'd say it's reasonably priced and the portions are decent.
I definitely want to try it, but I think I'm slightly too fussy an eater only because of beef.
Okay.
That
There's
sometimes those tasting menus, especially when they're like kind of local produce, like it's a British beef is gonna crop up somewhere, and I just would hate to think that I've wasted money on a course that I can't eat.
No, they always have a vegan option.
But then to go all vegan,
no, you don't have to.
Oh, course by course.
Well, I think the service there, I will say, exceptional.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
they're really accommodating. I didn't like the beef course, so they brought me a glass of prosecco to kind of compensate, kind of thing.
Fair enough.
When I went the first time, I think there was a beef course, and one of the girls I was with, she didn't eat. There's something she didn't eat.
Okay.
So they swapped out that course for the vegetarian option.
Fair enough. Yeah,
So,
I guess that's a dietary requirement that you could probably say before you go.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna give it a go.
Yeah, give it a go. What's yours?
My food highlights, obviously, I'm in the Dominican Republic.
Okay. You having plantain, bacon,
Oh
pancakes
my god,
every day.
it was everything I needed it to be.
Yeah.
It was obviously Dominican Republic is in the Caribbean. Well, it faces the Caribbean Sea and also the Atlantic Ocean, but it is very well situated for a large number of guests from America, from Canada, and a lot of people from the UK, which means that the international buffet spread is very much geared towards the American, Canadian, and UK diet. So there was everything in the mornings to have like a full English practically, or to have like hash browns, bacon, pancakes, all that kind of stuff. If you've ever been to any Caribbean all-inclusive hotel, it's
Which
pretty
one did
standard.
you stay in?
So I was in the Rio Republica.
Okay, I've heard the Rio ones are quite nice.
Yeah, it's all-inclusive in Punta Cana. And I stayed in Rio hotels. I think I've stayed in all the Rio hotels in Jamaica.
Yeah.
And very similar. Same but different.
Yeah.
This one was adults only.
Oh, I love a bit of adults only.
I love a bit of adults only.
Yeah.
This one was, and Dominican Republic kind of is geared more as a party place.
Yeah.
So the actual hotel had like a nightclub in it, and there was like weekly parties 4 times a week of all the different themes between us and the other reuse. But food-wise, stick to the food.
Yeah.
The fruit was sensational.
What did you have?
Oh my gosh. So most of the trip there was always mango every day. But it was, and forgive me because we had fruits last week and I should have probably picked up all the names of the different mango, but the greener skinned mango.
Okay.
However, the last 4 days, the Judy mangoes came out.
Oh, swear.
I don't know where they got them from, I don't know where they came from, and because they were obviously pre-cut in the buffet, I was lifting them up to look for the yellow skin with the little black speckles. And then I found some and I was telling my friends, I was like, get the yellow skin ones.
Yeah.
Absolutely sensational.
And you didn't bring any back for
What?
me?
Bring back sliced fruit. Customs would have had me.
Oh, sounds really nice.
It was incredible. The passion fruit also were about the size of the palm of my hand. And they were all in the buffet like half sliced. So picking up half passion fruits that were literally enormous. The only thing that wasn't hitting fruit-wise, which I don't know if it's an import, was the watermelon.
Is it out of season right now?
Probably.
Yeah.
But the watermelon was not really hitting. I was having it for the sake of hydration and putting the passion fruit on it and just kind of
sweetening it
up a little bit. And also the avocado.
It wasn't hitting?
Avocado was sensational.
Avocado
was out of this world.
Yeah.
I think we were eating probably... And when I say avocado, I don't mean Hass avocados.
You mean like pear?
Pear.
Yeah.
So again, I'm trying to explain to my friends. I was with 3 of my girls, and I was saying, this is pear, the one that's actually shaped like
a pear.
Like a pear.
It's got the big booty.
Green skin, big booty.
Yeah.
Smaller seed, thinner skin.
Yeah, the
not
thin
that,
skin. It's not the
that
thick,
dinosaur
hard
Hass
back skin.
This avocado was incredible. I'm gonna actually share a picture of one of the avocado platters. They just made these platters of avocado. We were probably having half a pear a day, minimum.
Yeah.
Minimum. Our skin was soft, luscious. Now I come back to this country, I'm deteriorating.
Gosh.
I'm deteriorating. I bought an avocado 4 days ago. I cut it today. The thing is still hard in half the places. So the avocado was absolutely incredible. I ate a lot of pork.
Okay.
I'm currently a pescatarian.
Yep.
Paying for my sins.
Okay.
I just need a little bit of a break.
They do like a lot of meat there.
They do a lot of meat and then like the Dominican stew. So there was like a Dominican counter where they had the food every single day, no matter the theme of the rest of the areas.
Yeah.
Where they would always have this Dominican stew, which I stayed away from because I think it was like mixed meat. Again, I don't eat beef. White rice, the plantain, the way that the Dominican people do it for breakfast, it's sweetened. So not only is it sweet plantain, it's also like
sugar.
Yeah, it's got like pineapple chunks in it. It's like a wet thing. So it's like fried, and then it's got like pineapple chunks in it, like diced, and also like melon.
Right.
In like a syrup.
It's nice.
It's nice, but I was kind of draining the plantain out of that wetness.
Interesting. I've never tasted something like that before.
And then lunch and dinner they will serve plantain like is it tostones? Tostones. So I'm assuming boiled, maybe fried first, then squished, so they're kind of like flat and long.
Yeah,
and
it's
then
fried, double fried.
Double fried basically, and then squished down and then fried again. So those I was munching plantain like my life depended on it.
Lovely.
I need a little break from all of the above, but anything that is grown in that country was hitting.
Okay, nice.
Anything that was not like the pancakes, the bacon, they were okay, but you don't go to a country that has such incredible fresh produce. The fish, the grouper.
Yeah.
There's a highlight on my page, and by the time you hear this, actually maybe not. Check back soon. There'll be a vlog.
Okay, cool.
Check back. There'll be a vlog or a
with
reel
all the foodie bits in it
at some point.
Okay, cool.
At some point. But yeah, that's where we've been.
Okay.
Somewhere where we might be going, well, should hopefully be going. We're gonna try and get tickets. The plans. Is a play showing at the Chelsea Theatre called "Roll Your Sleeves with Eve." It sounds very interesting. So it's a futuristic piece set in 2050. A romantic comedy drama about a badly behaved celebrity chef who goes through intrusive, borderline illegal therapy to confront her demons from her past, both romantic and familial relationships. There is an Eventbrite link to this, which we will share in the show notes of this episode. There's a really cool poster, which is like a neon, almost like Tokyo Nights looking like set. Yeah. So I'm assuming that's what it's going to look like. But it's on from June 22nd for a couple of nights. One of the nights is actually sold out. So if that sounds like a bit of you, then grab a ticket ASAP. And hopefully we'll be able to tell you a bit more about it in a couple of weeks.
I'll have a little chef drama.
Yeah, a little chef drama.
Definitely interested to check it out.
Yeah. On today's episode.
Right.
Let's get serious. This is a serious
do you know what I've got in my mind? The Channel 4 music.
Yes.
That's what we should have had playing. Yeah.
Well, I can enter the edit.
Yeah.
Okay, this is
on today's news.
This is a serious conversation. Malaika.
Yeah.
The eggs are missing.
Right. Yeah. You know what? I've spoken about it and I stopped talking about it because it's actually really painful. We're still in a crisis. We're still in a crisis and we are in May. We're basically in June. So
let's rewind this conversation for a minute because we've been talking about this egg crisis on the podcast for months.
Since the beginning of the year.
For months. And people keep listening to the podcast and being like, ha 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 ha, what egg crisis? Ha ha ha.
I got eggs in my local supermarket.
I get eggs, I've got eggs, everything's fine. And we, although we're talking about the crisis, we're saying cost of living crisis wasn't going to affect us, and we've had to retract that statement already.
Well,
but now, I think other people generally are starting to see the knock-on effects of the egg crisis, and the egg crisis is becoming very real.
Do you know what I will say? Although you may be able to get it in your local supermarket, the world has been operating in a way where availability is king. And so we have actually never been in a situation where something that is considered a basic good, like eggs, has been hard to find.
Like this.
Generally, yeah. So even if you can find it, I promise you, there's a crisis.
As much as the crisis is what our life is currently revolving around, we're going to talk about eggs as a whole today.
Yeah.
We're going to have a bit of a whole egg conversation.
Yeah.
If I could find my notes, that would be great.
Well, you guys know that I love eggs because when we were talking about our desert island dishes, which was, can't remember what episode, but it's there. If you scroll back, you'll see
17?
it.
18?
It was a couple of weeks ago, not too far back. And I said that I need eggs for my mental health. So I love eggs. Really,
I love eggs. I have not always loved eggs. I think I shared this on an episode where I had childhood trauma of my mum doing eggs in the microwave.
Oh gosh, no, I don't think you did.
Oh,
but
did
there's always some funny story.
Yeah. My affiliation with eggs as a child was my mum doing scrambled eggs in the microwave. Right. So that smell of like, it's kind of the same smell as boiled eggs, but it just wasn't very pleasant.
Was mummy doing that? Okay, right.
Questions for mummy. Yeah, but now as an adult, I love eggs. Obviously, I use eggs a lot in baking. I love baking. There are many different types of eggs.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm as fussy as you about my eggs.
Well,
I like a free range egg.
Yeah.
That's my actual bare minimum. So exactly what you've just said. People who are saying I can find eggs, you can find, but can you find the eggs I'm looking for?
Well, this is it. Because there is, I don't even know how many, but I promise you there's probably over 20 different
Variations.
I was going to say SKUs, but yeah, that retail chit chat.
Supply chain.
Yeah, there's about 20 different options available to the customer when they're going to the supermarket.
Yep.
At the moment, a lot of supermarkets have about 5 at best, and it's crazy.
Off the top of my head, aside from brands, but there's obviously free range eggs, there's caged eggs.
Yeah.
There's Clarence Court is a brand, but also like they're blue, right?
I think Clarence Court is blue.
The blue eggs.
You've got
Burford
Brown.
Browns.
Yeah.
Just the ones I'm thinking of that I can see in the supermarket. Golden.
Golden Yolk. Fresh Day Farm. Golden Yolk. Happy Eggs.
Happy Eggs is a brand, but they're just free range eggs, I think. Yeah. But that's just 6.
Well, I think generally speaking, you've got free range, caged, organic, yeah. And then I think there's something in between caged and free range, I think.
I think that you're right, and that's what I've been seeing a lot of recently, where they haven't been able to offer free range and they've had to label it that thing that's one down from it being free range, basically. Yeah. So of all those types of eggs, I typically just go for free range.
Yeah.
What is your go-to egg?
If that yolk ain't golden, I don't want it. My egg has to be a golden yolk bad boy. My brand of choice is the Freshly Farm Golden Yolks.
Yes.
10 free range eggs. And I generally get them from Sainsbury's or Tesco. Absolutely love them. They are always golden. They taste fantastic. And I think for a golden yolk free range egg, an egg that is positioned as golden yolk, it's generally like fairly priced. I was paying £2.40.
I remember.
Before the crisis. They're currently at £3.80 in Sainsbury's, which, yeah, I'm still buying them. So...
Are you able to get them then?
Not really. And what I've noticed is that the 10-pack has actually now gone down to a 6-pack that they're offering. And it's £2.50 each, which means that for 12 eggs, it's £5, which means that I'm probably paying around 40-something p as opposed to the 38p per egg.
Yeah. I think at one point they were 34.1.
41 to 45p per egg. What do you call it? Fag packet maths?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Fag packet maths, don't know, but I know it's more than 40p per egg.
Right.
With the 6-pack, and that's really upset me.
That is very expensive.
It per egg.
So I got 2 boxes this week for $1.75. I literally texted Malaika, I was like, I found eggs.
$1.75 each?
$1.75 for 6.
Oh, okay.
$1.75 for 6, just Tesco large eggs.
Yeah.
And even that, I was like, you're pushing it.
Yeah.
You're moving like oat milk. How are you the same price as Oatly? What are you telling me? Like, your eggs, you're supposed to be like a basic provision that is raised in this country, like your eggs.
It's crazy.
So I have been less fussy about the eggs I've been buying, and I've been able to get access, like free range eggs, any brand, any supermarket, whatever I can get. Golden yolk as an egg I don't think it's unique to that brand, because Aldi do some.
No, the branding is golden yolk eggs, but a golden yolk egg is typically achieved through the feed.
Right, okay.
So they're probably feeding the chicken something like corn. Freshly Farm, they add, I believe it's paprika to their feed.
Wow.
To get the colour. It says it on their website, which is really interesting.
Okay.
So, yeah, a golden yolk egg you can get anywhere.
Yeah.
I like
the
Freshly Farm golden yolk eggs.
Fair enough.
Some of it is because I am really susceptible to really good branding, and I love the
it's a nice clean brand, especially the box of 10 is very compact. Yeah. But eggs as a whole, we did some research on this one.
Okay.
Because we haven't done a research chat episode in a little while, and we just thought we would. This is a serious matter, as much as we're joking about it, but there are a lot of implications to UK like supply chain, families, just like family life based on the lack of eggs. So eggs are important because they're delicious. Mm-hmm. They are nutritionally very, very, very dense. They're very, very good for you. And one of the things that I looked up was basically they have every nutrient that is recommended except fiber. Okay. And the eggs have a bad reputation. Apparently 50 years ago, there was a bit of a jump scare about cholesterol.
With the yolk, isn't it?
With the yolk, which is it's a myth that's kind of been debunked in terms of how much cholesterol you have otherwise in your diet. Yeah. If you eat 1 to 2 eggs a day. There was a campaign, I believe, an American campaign to start your day with an egg, and that you could go to work. These factory workers and like laborers could go to work on an egg. Yeah. And I think from that, there was like people are consuming too much, but reasonably, with modern day science, 1 to 2 eggs a day
Yeah.
is a reasonable amount
As part of a balanced diet.
as part of a balanced diet is absolutely fine in terms of the amount of cholesterol you're eating.
I was banging off 1 egg a day.
Yeah. I've had 2 eggs a day, I think, for the last 3 days because I've been eating meat.
I have 1 whole egg and egg whites mixed together typically.
So a lot of people go for the egg white option just because, well, I mean, buying a bottle of egg whites is actually quite convenient. Well, it's quite convenient, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I get the 2 chicks egg
2
whites.
chicks ones, yeah. And it's the lower cholesterol part. It's the white is actually the high protein part.
Yeah.
So
and lower fat as well when you take out the yolk.
When you see the gym bros pouring out the liquid eggs into the
They don't make it look good though.
Well, that's why they're doing that and not cracking whole eggs in. The only thing that I heard on a podcast, I think it's called the Zoe podcast, was that when you're buying the eggs in the bottle, obviously they are pasteurized, so they could contain gums or anything like that. So ultimately, if you're doing it
when you say gums, what do you mean?
Just any kind of preservative, thickener, colorant.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're super clear, sometimes they're a bit cloudy.
Yeah.
Just if you are going down the route of looking for the healthiest way to consume an egg, it's still out of a shell.
A whole egg,
it's still straight out of a shell.
I think the 2 chick one has guar gum in it.
Yes.
There's something like, it's like a natural alternative
thickener
in there. So I really like that one. It's free range egg whites. I've been using that for years and it's really nice. I've had it plain as well and it tastes pretty good.
I've used it for years. Also, I use it when I'm making meringue because if you're making like a meringue that you don't cook, you need to use pasteurized egg in order to be able to sell it. You can't just use egg out of a shell for like baking and selling food. So yeah, that's just a bit about eggs for anyone who doesn't.
So I know you said that eggs have got all the nutrients that you need except for fibre.
Yes.
I know they're really high in B12. And there was a time in my life where I was eating eggs daily. I was taking B12 supplements because I was deficient at one point.
Yeah.
But I wasn't eating eggs as regularly as I was at that time. And between the supplement and the eggs, my doctor called me and he asked me, what are you doing down there? Because I had to do a blood test. This was actually a part of my gluten intolerance testing.
Oh, okay.
And he was like, yeah, these bits are fine, but the B12, what's going on? What are you doing? And I was just like, taking a supplement. And he was like, what else do you do? I was like, I eat a lot of eggs. He's like, yeah, stop the supplement because my B12 levels were really high. And he's like, if you're eating eggs daily and you're having a balanced diet, you're fine.
They're like golden food, golden yolk, golden food.
Yeah.
And that's why as well, we can touch on this a little bit with our very limited expertise. Certain, like culturally, eggs are very important. And that's why I think the crisis, like financially is a big deal to us, availability is a big deal to us, but the availability to be able to like buy access eggs for people to send their kids to school with a nutrient rich breakfast in this country, in developing countries, like that's very important. And the UK and the Western world prioritizing their need for eggs over the people. There's some countries.
So is this crisis
worldwide? Oh girl, the crisis is worldwide.
It's
so let's talk about the crisis.
Thing.
So I listened to a really good episode. I will link both these episodes below, by one of the BBC Radio 4, I think, podcasts. So they spoke to a poultry farmer in South Africa and also a poultry farmer in Leicestershire.
Yeah.
And the stories were very similar, but the facts were blowing my mind. So the South African farmer was basically saying that this is the hardest time she's ever had in her life as a poultry farmer, and that she used to have laying hens.
Yeah.
The language that they use is just so interesting. I think agriculture is amazing, but laying hens, and then she used to also rear chickens just for meat.
Yeah.
She's had to completely cut raising chickens just for meat because the laying hens are costing her so much, and it goes down to the feed. So it's actually the cost implications that are having to be passed on to the consumer from her eggs into her community in South Africa are because the cost of gas is so high in order to go and literally run her farm. The heating of the barns and actual like tractors and things that she was literally like, in order to go pick up my feed, I have to burn gas.
Because apart from an egg crisis, we're actually in an energy crisis as well. So a global energy crisis, and some of that stems from the war.
Her supplier, again, this can vary around the world, of her feed is directly from Russia and Ukraine. So the war that's going on between Russia and Ukraine is affecting the production of the feed. I think that's a big part of the way the message has been misconstrued to us in the UK is like, we're just getting that part. So we're just hearing the war in Russia and Ukraine is causing the egg crisis.
Yeah.
That's it. Those are the two parts of the
yeah.
story. But the journey is such that because people can't farm because they're fighting a war.
Yeah.
So there's no grain. So then they can't export the grain.
Yeah.
So countries can't import the grain. So people are having to pay for it from other sources that don't have as much of it. Supply and demand, they're paying more for it, la da da da.
Well, I think it's about, don't quote me, I can probably throw this up, but is it within the regions of about 70% of the grain? Like the global grain supply comes from that part of the world, from Russia and Ukraine. So that's what, there's a lot of food that comes out of Russia and Ukraine.
And
oil.
sunflower.
Sunflower oil.
Sunflower oil.
Yeah.
70% of the UK's oil comes from Ukraine.
Yeah. And that even like globally, it's like 70% of the global supply. We're saying 70. It's a high percent of the global supply comes from Russia and Ukraine. Yeah.
So those two things were affecting, well, but probably both the farmers, but particularly this farmer in South Africa was talking a lot about this. And that's when I realised that, you know how far South Africa is from where we are right now? Mm-hmm. So the egg crisis has reached every corner of this earth. And that's just based on feed. And another reason that there's an egg crisis, which again, I think in the UK we're getting one part of the story and then the other part, which is really far away, the avian flu. Mm-hmm. So we're just hearing like the prices are crazy because there's a war in Ukraine and there's a flu. But the knock-on effect of the flu is actually just how severe the flu really is and how, in a way, blessed we are, how they have to manage it. So they have to manage it in the process of culling chickens. Mm-hmm. It's too high risk to let it run. It's too high risk to be like, oh, we got the bad ones. Yeah. They have to cull chickens.
Well, part of the problem with that is the supply chain costs have increased.
Yes.
And they've complained about it. And in order to keep production running, you have to reinvest, grow more chickens, blah, 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 which a lot of farmers decided not to do because they weren't seeing the profit margins that they needed to keep their business going. Yep. So you've already got a reduction in their overall product supply, and then you've got an avian flu. Yep. So they're culling from a shortage, basically.
Well, there's two sides of it. So some numbers, some facts. In the last year, so the podcast I listened to, I believe, was recorded in March. So March to March, 3 million chickens were culled in the UK because of the avian flu. I have, however, read an article, I believe there was one on The Guardian and one on The Independent, that basically said certain farmers are refusing to sell at the cut prices that these supermarkets and brands want to sell for, and they'd rather cull their chickens than give in to these demands. Yeah. So they're not reinvesting in their business. They're not just getting rid of it. So they just got to get rid of it. The running costs of looking after these chickens. That's crazy.
Yeah. But
it's a necessary evil in terms of what they have to do in order to survive as farmers and run their businesses, to not fold to these giants that are just hardlining them at the cost of eggs that they are still profiting on by increasing the cost to us directly as the customers. The situation is worse in America. Okay. So another podcast I was listening to, so of the 3 million chickens that were culled in the UK, the data from 2021 for the US, 50 million chickens were culled.
In the US? Because of the avian flu?
Yes, because of the avian flu. 50 million chickens.
So are they reporting that it's because of the farmers are reporting that the cost is too high and they're having a similar issue?
In the US, the situation is a lot worse, and the farming economist, I believe, was the
situation as in like there's a shortage, or in terms of the cost of eggs?
The cost of eggs. So this economist was basically saying that the difference in the egg prices in the US is actually higher than the egg shortage. Like, it's not making sense. The math is not mathing what the farmers are seeing in terms of how much they know they're paying for feed, how much the gas prices are costing, how short they are of eggs. Is not actually making sense to the prices. So roughly in the US right now, and we spoke about this, we saw a random tweet, didn't we?
Yeah, it was something silly like $14
for a carton of but the carton I think is 24. So that's still like 12.
Or maybe it was 8. I can't remember, but it was expensive.
It was expensive. And this guy was basically saying that $2 a dozen was a high price for eggs, like in 2020. Like, that was a high price for eggs. And now eggs are sitting at around $4 a dozen, which is like to be honest, kind of comparable to what we're paying when we buy golden, but isn't generally across the market.
£3.80.
About £3.80
for 10.
Kind of the same price.
12, so it's not too far off.
Exactly. So what he was saying though, which I find interesting, but America is a crazy place, is that the reason that the prices are not matching is because the way that they've set the prices is that they have factored in the worst case scenario.
So ultimately, we're in an egg crisis, or there's an egg shortage because of multiple different factors. There is the cost implications based on a shortage of feed because of the war between Russia and Ukraine. There's an energy crisis. The cost of energy, gas, fuel, etc. is extremely high at the moment. So that means that production cost essentially for farmers has increased exponentially.
Yep.
And then on top of that, you've got a situation where BFREPA, which is the British Free Range Egg Producers Association, have flagged months ago to the retail world that the cost, their costs have increased. Therefore, they need to increase the cost to the supermarkets, and the supermarkets have basically refused to absorb that cost because they don't want to be seen, especially coming out of the cost of living crisis. So going into a cost of living crisis coming out of the pandemic, nobody wanted to be seen as the expensive option.
Right.
Everybody tried to maintain and hold their pricing because they know that if someone else moves, we're gonna take their customers. So everybody's holding a very firm line, and it's squeezing these farmers, and the farmers are basically saying, well, if you're not going to give us what we want and essentially need, then we're just not going to produce anymore, and you're just not going to have what you need.
It's the union, effectively.
When I first started talking about it on Instagram, they were saying 10 months ago. So it's been probably over a year since that conversation has been going on, because you're doing forecasting and preemptive planning and all that kind of stuff, and they've seen what's coming down the line, and the supermarkets have basically said, no, sorry, we want to keep the price the same.
And it's not the supermarkets, also like any major business, fast food chains, products, my precious sticky toffee puddings, the people who make any of these products, the effect is everywhere, which is why...
It is, but you know, in the grand scheme of things, those supermarkets, the scale at which they purchase from these farmers,
they have the power.
Most of these farmers, their businesses, a lot of them are built on their relationships with these supermarkets.
Right, okay.
And so there is a proportion of their stock that will go to restaurants and those kinds of places. But a lot of them, most of their profit comes from that relationship. So when the supermarkets kind of set the precedent on certain things, you're not seeing the same amount of volume through your other relationships. Yeah, so it's kind of, especially when you go into a crisis, it's the supermarkets, etc., that generally get prioritized. Yeah. And then the other big boys, like the fast food chains, the supermarket chains and the big fast food chains, that will be prioritized because the relationships are built on volume, essentially. Yeah. And you're prioritized based on your volume, and those guys, they're selling, I don't even know how many thousands of eggs that they're selling.
Yeah, you're right. In a day. And in that article, one of the articles that we shared, it said that Wetherspoons is serving full English breakfast without eggs. So obviously...
Well, apparently there's a couple. We don't want to say
that. Well, a couple of them, apparently, allegedly. Some of them. But that just shows what you're saying. Their buying power is not strong enough to ensure that they can get the eggs. So they're getting cut from the bottom
but
of the
even it said on that same article, which you can link, I think it was
The Guardian,
Yeah, that... Tesco and someone else had reported not being able to buy eggs for a while, but that is probably a consequence of severed relationships, because I can't remember who it was. It was somebody quite high up in Tesco that had gone on the news and had basically, I wish I could find it. If I could find the article, I'll link it. But he said something that basically rubbed the farmers the wrong way.
Really?
Yeah, because we're talking about it within my working relationships, and whatever he went on there and said about basically they're just going to have to kind of get with the program, they said, yeah, no problem. We're not prioritizing new people. And so they're really struggling as a consequence of that, because there was an arrogance from a lot of these supermarkets, because they know that these farmers are heavily reliant on that business because of the scale and the volume.
But also, just listen to a couple of these podcasts. There's another one called The Farming Land, I think it is. It's an American podcast, but she's got many episodes about chicken production and egg production. And I don't think, you know, you talk about people living paycheck to paycheck, just how close farming is, or a particular farmer is, to not being able to run the next month. Like if you have to cull your entire livestock and replace it within like a month, that might be the end for you. So all of this hardlining and like it's pushing real people out of business. And I mean, I'm sure any of our listeners have families and stuff. If someone is breathing down your throat about not paying you fairly, you're gonna leave. You can start something else.
Exactly.
They're gonna
exactly. It gets to a point where it's not worth it anymore.
It's not worth it. And some of these farmers are ultimately doing that. They're getting their chickens cold, and they're actually deciding at that point, I'll take the insurance money, and I'm not going through this again.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah, and it's a shame.
I'm out.
Ultimately, we're in a space now where Brexit means Brexit,
Oof.
and there is very few things that this island
is producing
and has to offer.
Yeah.
And so when you start squeezing British farmers, how much more can we import?
Like,
because the costs are going up. How much more?
This is the definition of biting the hand that feeds you.
Yeah, literally. So,
and we personally didn't bite it.
Yeah. So
some people did though.
We just have to continue monitoring the crisis. I mean, if you're able to get eggs, that's nice. Do you know what I mean? If you're able to get the ones that you want, love that for you. Happy for you. I can't say it's the same for me.
There's another episode that I didn't get to listen to just because I didn't think it fit for this conversation, but you might be interested in it, and it's whether or not you should buy chickens during an egg crisis. Because I think a lot of people are making a decision to like start keeping a laying chicken. Yeah. But it's like I think from the description I read, it's a bit like the pandemic story where everyone bought a dog. Okay. And then at some point, I can barely keep an aloe vera alive. So I don't think, unless I'm stranded on the island with your one chicken.
Yeah, I don't think I need to. Which on that episode, on the clip, a couple of people, even somebody on TikTok, tried to tell me, "Oh, how are you only going to bring one chicken? How's it going to lay eggs?" Because hens don't need to have a man to lay eggs. Yes. Most of the eggs that we eat, most of the time, those eggs are unfertilized. It's highly unlikely that you, in your lifetime, will ever eat a fertilized egg. So
that's how chickens are made.
Exactly. If the egg is fertilized, kept in the right conditions, you'll have a chick in your house very shortly. So most of the time, we're not eating fertilized eggs. The hens are just laying eggs. And
also, from one of these podcasts, I think it was the South African lady was saying the reason that she's had to stop the production of her meat chickens is because laying chickens live a lot longer. Like you keep a laying hen for a while, like it lays forever. Whereas obviously you just feed a meat chicken to a certain point before slaughter.
Do we eat laying hens at some point then? How do they?
I don't think so because I think they're aged meat.
Oh, okay. So they basically die.
I think they either die or they're cold.
That's a shame.
Yeah. Or they just become chickens.
Yeah. I bet it's that free range chicken that we were eating that was tough as anything. It's probably the hen.
Aged matured chicken.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, apparently. I didn't actually listen to that. I was like, I'll list a few of the other episodes that I came across that I thought were interesting that I haven't got around to yet. From those farmers and from some of the BBC Good Food resources, and the Economist also has a podcast about the global food shortages that we're having and the cost implications of those. Culturally, lots of people like eggs. I've spoken about them being a great use for families, and every single time we talk about eggs, Akwasi Mensah
of Tatalay
pops up in the comments, sharing his love and the apparent, evident Ghanaian love of eggs. Culturally, eggs are very important in certain national dishes, and just I know they've got a really strong prevalence in actually the Filipino culture. Really? Filipino meals are very egg heavy.
Like a fried egg on the side?
Either fried, I guess Southeast Asian, because like things like ramen, that's egg heavy. Yeah. Thai food is full of egg.
That's true. Yeah.
Full of egg. So I think a lot of that region of the world, eggs are very important. Ghana seems to be the one
that even means welcome. It's not even relevant, but I just wanted to say it.
Around the world of Malaika Miles, that seems to be the one that pops up most in our community. So large up all the Ghanaians that are listening to the podcast and in our Instagram comments letting us know how much they love eggs. I'm sure we'll be seeing you on the clips of this episode. Yeah. Anything else you want to share about eggs?
No, I love eggs. You already know what it is. Yeah. So I'm not very happy about the lack of availability. I think one thing the egg crisis and just these constant food crises and crises and the shortages have shown is that in terms of like as consumers, the way that we have been spoiled with availability and choice and range, you really start to see the gaps when you fall into these crises. And so it's I don't know, it's making me kind of sit back and think, what do I need and how much do I need? I do need those golden yolk eggs, I'll be honest.
Gonna need you a little paprika chicken then.
And I mean, I'm here to support the farmers. Do you know what I mean? As long as I could get the stock, anything more than £4 might be pushing it. But people might be pushing it. But you know, I hope that we're able to resolve this ASAP.
Yeah.
Especially some of the situations like just the cost, etc., and how they're working with these supermarkets, etc. Yeah.
Well, I don't think I have anything more to share about eggs.
No,
I miss you, and I miss you. I really do miss you. Did you miss me when I wasn't around, by the way?
Thanks, guys. When I asked you, you said no.
So did you miss me when
No, I didn't, because you didn't miss me when I wasn't around.
Well, thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.